Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever felt like something just didn't add up? Like the words were there, the story was being told, but your soul just wasn't buying it? See, I've lived long enough and I've seen enough to know when someone is trying to paint a pretty picture over a busted wall. People often think that the best way to catch someone in a lie is to come at them hard, to confront, to accuse, to demand answers like they're on trial. But the truth don't work like that. The truth doesn't respond well to pressure. And lies thrive on chaos. When you get loud, when you get emotional, you give the lie room to hide. You give the person space to dodge, to defend, to flip the script on you. But when you ask the right question, just one well thought out, calmly delivered question, you change the game entirely. A lie can be built with dozens of words, layers of stories, clever timing, and practiced delivery. But a single clear question can crack it right down the middle. That question doesn't need to be fancy. Needs to be precise, needs to come from a place of knowing, not guessing, knowing that something's off. The power isn't in the question itself. It's in the silence that follows. That's when the truth gets uncomfortable. Because when you're calm, when you're collected, and you hit that question just right, you take control of the room. You make them face what they've been running from. No accusations, no name calling, no threats. Just the kind of question that only has one honest answer, and they know it. That's why it works. Because you ain't trying to destroy nobody. You're just trying to bring the truth out into the open. And people feel that. They know when you're done playing games. When that question hits, it's like the lights come on and everything they've tried to cover up starts showing. It ain't loud. It ain't dramatic, but it's real. Lies are funny things. They don't always come wrapped in evil or bad intentions. Sometimes a lie feels like a cushion, a soft place to land when the truth feels too heavy. People lie to keep the peace, to protect feelings, or to hold on to something they know is slipping away. And for a while, that lie might even work. It creates a little world, a kind of comfort zone, where everything looks okay on the outside. Smiles still show up. Conversations keep flowing. Life rolls on. But that comfort is fragile. It's not built on stone. It's built on sand. And one question asked in the right moment with the right kind of calm can shake the whole thing. It exposes the cracks in that comfort. Suddenly, what felt safe and controlled starts to feel shaky and uneven. That one question brings a kind of discomfort the lie can't defend against. Because a lie needs constant support. It needs more lies, more energy, more performance to stay alive. But the truth stands on its own. So when you drop that question and everything gets quiet, the weight shifts. The person who built the lie now has to work twice as hard to hold it up. You can see it in the body language, in the pause, in the glance to the floor. It's like watching a wall split from the inside. What they used to rely on to keep things smooth is now betraying them. That comfort becomes pressure, and they know the only way out is to either keep digging or come clean. That's the beauty of the right question. It doesn't attack, it reveals. It shows what's been sitting just under the surface, waiting for the moment someone finally cared enough to ask the truth to show itself. Lying doesn't always come from a place of cruelty. A lot of times it comes from fear. People are scared of what the truth might cost them, scared of losing someone they love, scared of facing consequences, scared of being seen in a way they don't want to be seen. So instead of standing in the truth, they reach for something they think will protect them, a lie. It's not always calculated. Sometimes it's almost automatic, a reflex built from years of trying to survive or be accepted. And behind that fear, you'll often find insecurity. When someone doesn't feel good enough, when they feel like who they are isn't worthy, they build a version of themselves they think the world will accept. That version might be smarter, more loyal, more successful, more honest than who they really are. And to keep up that version, they tell stories. They avoid truths. They craft lies, not to harm, but to maintain an image. Then there's control. This one's dangerous. Some people lie because they want power, not just over a situation, but over your thoughts, your feelings, your decisions. A lie becomes a tool, a way to shape your reality into something that benefits them. It ain't about fear anymore, and it sure ain't about insecurity. It's about keeping control of the narrative, keeping you right where they want you without you even knowing it. The hard part is all three, fear, insecurity, and control, can wear the same face. You won't always know which one you're dealing with, but when you ask the right question, the motive starts to show. The way they respond, the energy they give, the story they spin, it all starts peeling back because the truth don't need fear, it don't need image, and it don't need power. It just needs a moment. Sometimes it ain't what you say, it's when you say it, and more importantly, how quiet you are after. There's a kind of strength in silence that people don't give enough credit to. We live in a world that loves noise, fast responses, and constant back and forth. But silence is where truth gets uncomfortable. When you ask someone a question, one that cuts close to the truth, and then you sit back and let the silence do its job, you create space. And in that space, the lie starts to sweat. Most people expect you to keep talking, to fill the air, to explain your question or soften the blow. But when you don't, when you just wait, that's when the shift happens. Timing matters too. You can't just throw the question out at any old moment. You wait for that pause in the conversation. You wait until everything seems calm, until their guard is down. Then you deliver it. Clear, simple, direct. Not with anger, not with sarcasm, but with clarity. And then you go quiet. That silence starts feeling heavy. The person sitting in front of you starts feeling it press on them, and they begin to fidget, to ramble, to stumble through their thoughts. That's when you know you've landed in the truth zone. Most lies are rehearsed, but they don't prepare for silence. They don't prepare for the moment when they're forced to sit with a question they can't dodge. The right question at the right time, followed by nothing but stillness, is more powerful than any argument. You don't need to accuse. You don't need to explain. You just need to trust the weight of your words and let the silence echo around them. That's when masks start to slip and the truth, slowly but surely, begins to rise. Asking the right question isn't just about catching someone in a lie. That's only part of the picture. The deeper value, the real power, is what that question reveals about the person in front of you when they're faced with it. Because how someone handles the truth, how they respond when they're pressed in just the right way, says more about who they are than any story they could tell. The truth has a way of pulling character to the surface. When you ask that question, the one they didn't expect, the one that quietly demands honesty, you're not just poking holes in their story. You're shining a light on their integrity. You're watching how they handle pressure, how they deal with being seen, how they react when control slips out of their hands. Some people, when faced with that question, will lie harder. They'll get louder, defensive, angry. That tells you something. It tells you they're more committed to protecting their image than being real. Others will freeze. They might not say anything right away, but you can see it in their eyes. They know the game is over. Then there are the ones who soften, who take a breath, and finally let the truth come out. Not because they wanted to lie, but because they were afraid, and your question gave them a way out. That's why asking the right question matters, because it's not always about the answer, it's about the reaction. You learn who's honest, who's manipulative, who's scared, and who's strong enough to own up to what they've done. You learn who respects you enough to stop pretending, and you learn who never did. The question acts like a mirror. The moment it's asked, it reflects back not just the truth, but the values, the intentions, and the emotional maturity of the one answering. You see whether they've been playing a role or if they're finally ready to be real. A lie hides who someone is, but the right question, delivered with calm confidence, doesn't just break the lie. It shows you who was behind it all along. Sometimes the biggest reason we don't get the truth is because we don't give it space to come out. We talk too much. We explain too much. We try to lead people into the answer we want or the one we fear. But the truth doesn't respond well to pressure or noise. It doesn't need you to deliver a speech or set the stage. It needs you to ask, just ask, and then stop. That's where the power is. Not in the buildup, not in the confrontation, but in the stillness that follows a direct question. See, when you keep talking, you give the other person time to think, to prepare, to shape their response. You fill in their silence with your own doubts and fears. But when you stop talking, when you just look them in the eye and wait, that's when the real test begins. You'll be surprised how much people reveal when you simply let silence do the heavy lifting. A lot of folks aren't comfortable in that quiet space. It unsettles them. And if they've been hiding something, that silence turns into pressure. Their mind starts racing, their guilt gets loud, and the lie they've been holding on to starts feeling heavier than ever. But you have to be strong enough to hold that silence. You have to resist the urge to help them speak. Just ask your question, then lean back and watch. Watch their face, their hands, their breathing. The truth will show up somewhere. It always does. Most people think getting the truth is about confrontation. It's not. It's about clarity. When you're clear, when your question is simple and rooted in confidence, you don't need anything else. You don't need volume, threats, or explanations. You just need to be still. Because truth isn't hidden behind noise, it's buried under fear. And when you stop talking, you stop feeding that fear. You give the truth no choice but to rise.